welcome back to my channel. So today's video, change of scenery, as you can probably tell. I don't think I've ever filmed a video in here before, but I figured no better place to film this video in particular because this is my bedroom in my childhood home, which I will now be living at for the next 6 months. It's kind of weird, I almost feel like I'm filming a podcast, just like reclining in my brownie-ass chair with my duck and just talking, but it's nice because this is kind of just an informal video that I wanted to do to just reflect on my freshman year, which has been cut short. The last 2 weeks have been absolutely crazy for everybody. For me, it's really kind of like a mindfuck to just think about like how quickly and rapidly things have been changing. I'm filming this video on Friday, March 20th, but like literally last week I was still like going to in-person classes and I was like living in my dorm and there were no plans to like cancel spring quarter altogether, much less move back home. But things have changed really rapidly and it does give me a lot of hope to see how quickly people have been adapting to those changes. And for me, as like a very like details-oriented neurotic ENTJ, I really live my life by like carefully planning things out, and I always need to know like what's the plan. Don't deviate from the plan. I don't do very well with like uncertainty, and COVID is like the ultimate situation of uncertainty, so I'm actually pretty proud of how I've been rolling with the punches because honestly, the person who I was like last year before I started college, likely not a resilient enough person to deal with all these quick changes. So I'm officially moved home now and my freshman year has been cut short. UCLA and I think most of the UC system, they are finishing up the rest of spring quarter online, so it's just going to be all online lectures, online classes, which you would think would be easier, but I just took a round of online finals and the problem with online finals is that they're open note, which means they are 1,000,000 times harder to make up for that. It does give me peace of mind knowing that I'm still getting a very high quality, very rigorous education, even though it is through like online. I'm really proud of how my school has been adjusting to the entire transition in such a short amount of time. So I definitely am not worried about like my classes not being challenging enough to me, but the rest of the school year will be online, and because of that we were told to come home because we can do it from home. So I moved out of my dorm. I'll be home for the rest of the school year, which is where I'll be completing the rest of my freshman year, and hopefully we'll be able to go back by fall, but really like who knows. I've been pretty sad about the fact that I don't get to go back for the rest of the year, especially because I feel like I was just starting to get into like feeling really at home there and really feeling like I was on my stride, hitting it perfectly. So to have that like cut short so abruptly, it feels like it's just a very unceremonious way to end freshman year, which technically isn't over, but my time on campus for freshman year is. So I guess in today's video I just wanted to reflect on all the lessons freshman year taught me and just, I don't know, like chat about life. I don't know. How do you? My freshman year at UCLA was quite the whirlwind and I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. I'll start with the good, I guess, because there's a whole lot of it. Probably the biggest positive thing that happened in my freshman year was getting my job. I've had a lot of requests from you guys to talk more about like what exactly my job is at the hospital, and I've held off on talking about it because I can't. There's obviously like HIPAA and patient confidentiality, and I don't want to ever put myself in a position of like conflict of interest there, so, but I also just think out of respect for patients and the entire like medical, it's something I just want to keep private, but it's in the ER, it's super cool, and I'm so lucky to have it. But basically in fall quarter at the beginning of the year, I applied to this program really like not expecting anything because I heard that it's pretty much just upperclassmen. They rarely ever accept underclassmen. Usually when they do, it's sophomores, never freshmen. So I was like over the moon when I got an interview, and I was like devastated when I had my interview because I thought I did so badly. Truly, there was like an awkward silence for like 20 seconds during my interview because they asked me a question that I just did not know how to answer. I thought I completely bungled it, but turns out they weren't just looking for like me knowing all the answers, because how am I going to know all the answers when I'm a first year? What they were looking for was someone who was willing to like admit that they didn't know everything and ask for help, because they want people who, instead of like trying to finesse their way through things, will reach out when they need help and follow protocol. So after this interview that I thought I'd completely bombed, I got invited back for a second interview, and I was so shocked but so happy. And after that second interview I was offered the position. So this happened over the entire span of fall quarter, and I was supposed to start in winter quarter, which I did. So for the entire like first 2/3 of winter quarter I was training, which just meant like doing shifts in the ER, getting accustomed to the workflow, and really just like getting used to being in the medical setting. About 2/3 of the way through winter quarter, I got my eval shift and I got cleared, and then I started officially doing my work in the ER, which was so fun. Oh my god, it's everything I expected it would be and more. It's so cool, such an amazing experience that I'm so lucky to be able to have. Unfortunately, because it's in the hospital, I'm also not going to be doing it for the rest of spring quarter, so I won't be able to go back to doing that until either summer or fall. They're not quite sure yet, but I love it. It's a lot of work. It's basically like another class on top of my other classes, but I could not ask for a better part-time job and a more amazing experience. I have my lab coat, I got my first ever pair of scrubs, so probably the highlight of freshman year was getting my job, but I'm not all work and no play. Well, the other best part of freshman year by far was friends. Making friendships was probably the thing I was most scared about going to college. I define myself as an extroverted introvert. When I'm around like a lot of introverted people, I can be like very outspoken and loud, but when I'm around other people who are more extroverted than me, I tend to shrink into myself. And I was really scared because like obviously UCLA is filled with those types of people who are dynamic and always doing something and really involved, and I was terrified that I was going to get there and just shrink into myself. But I've made friends, and I will say it's not been like a walk in the park by any means. I think making friends, one of the things I like really wish people would have told me is that making friends as an adult is so hard. It's a lot harder than making friends in high school because you see those people every day, but making friends in college, even in a college with 30,000 people like mine, it's really hard. You have to put in a lot more effort and you don't see that person every day, so you have to like know that your friendship is okay without having to really rely on that constant validation of that friendship. It's hard. Adulting is a lot harder than I thought it would be. Through classes and through work and just like meeting people and talking to people, there's so many really amazing people at UCLA that I'm so grateful to know. And that's like partially one of the reasons I'm really sad to be home, is that I just don't get to see those people until fall of next year, but obviously I know it's for the best. I'm just really thankful for the friends I got to make. So Sally, Josh. This year I also settled into my major and got really just excited about what I'm learning about. So after like switching my major 3 different times between being accepted and like the middle of fall quarter freshman year, I finally like settled into my major and I feel really confident about it. So I'm double majoring in psychobiology and neuroscience, which I'm so pumped about. And it takes a while to like figure out what exactly you want to do, but that feeling that you get when you just see the list of classes you get to take and you get excited and you don't dread anything, that's the best. And I hope that everyone can find that within a major. So those are like the biggest good things that happened in the year. And now for the bad. So this one's kind of a positive and a negative, but getting to be like independent for the first time has been a really cool experience. I've never like not lived at home. I've never lived with roommates before, and that has been such a new experience. So moving out of my house and moving into my dorm was quite the adjustment. I got really homesick in fall quarter. Winter quarter was not as bad for my homesickness, but fall quarter, oh my god. Every time I got a card from my mom, I started crying. It was just really hard, and I think I beat myself up about it a lot more than I should have, because I was like, you're being such a baby, you live an hour away, you can go home whenever you want, you have no reason to be feeling the way you're feeling right now. That's what I said to myself. That's what I was saying to myself, and I realized I am so mean to myself all the time. Like, if somebody talked to me the way that I speak to myself in my head, I would beat them up. So I'm trying to work on that a lot, but needless to say, that was a really hard adjustment for me. And fall quarter freshman year, my depression got to probably the worst spot it's been in a couple years, in a while now. I decided to start going to therapy again, which was a really good move for me, I think. But yeah, it was like a really hard adjustment period, and I was not fair with myself at all about that. Mostly I was really like upset and embarrassed that I was having such a hard time adjusting, because my internal monologue was like, you're strong, you've dealt with things that are harder than this, so why are you being tripped up over this small thing? Why are you taking this so badly? Again, like blaming myself for not being able to handle it when it's a hard thing that nobody should be able to completely handle on their own. So I guess freshman year has really taught me to be more mindful of that and be more gracious with myself and allow myself to have a hard time, because I beat myself up when I was having the hardest time ever, when I should have just been giving myself the grace and the space to move through things. I was so hell-bent on the idea that I would get there and it would be perfect and I would be on it that I just couldn't fathom it not being like that. The next lesson I learned that was a hard pill to swallow was that it's harder. My first quarter was probably the hardest set of classes I've ever taken in my life. 15 AP classes in high school, and the fact that a single calculus class took me out. I don't. Yeah! Winter quarter though, the quarter I just finished, I think I actually did a lot better in terms of like academics and just like feeling better about how I was doing in classes, but God, fall quarter was rough. It made me like question myself and my abilities, both academic and personal, in ways that I never had before, and that sucks. It's also kind of crazy because I technically have more free time. You get to like pick your own schedule, obviously. So you're not like in class every day as much as you are in high school. And there's a lot less like homework in terms of not as much busy work, but it's all harder work. So even though I've been like getting a lot more sleep than I was in high school, I'm so much more exhausted and so much more tired all the time because it's harder. So that was definitely a hard pill to swallow and probably the biggest like stepping stone and hurdle in my freshman year. But I've adjusted and I've gotten a lot better. And like, again, as I said, I've really felt like I was hitting my stride and just really feeling like everything was going great. So to have it cut short like that so quickly was just very jarring for me. I definitely don't feel like the same person I was in high school. It changes you really rapidly. It forces you to adapt. I've always been really proud of my work ethic, especially in high school, but college has been a whole other test of that. My channel pretty much doubled in size between when I started school to now. So keeping up with my studies, but also doing this as my part-time job and then also having my job at the hospital has forced me to get a lot better with time management and just like always be doing something productive and be doing something that's useful and using my free time to do things that are useful to me and build me up. I think it's so cliche to be like, diamonds are made under pressure, but I do feel like a good amount of the stress has been positive stress and has helped me grow a lot, and I think the stress of having a lot of things going on has forced me to do better in all the arenas of my life. Never half-assing two things, whole-assing one thing. Thank you, Ron Swanson. I'm also really, really grateful that this experience has brought me a lot closer to my sister. Even though it's for only a year, I got to share college with her. 1 year of college. Her 4th year, my first, and that has brought us together closer than we've ever been before, and I'm very thankful for that. And then I guess the final thing I learned was that it's not high school at all. It's such a different dynamic, especially with professors. I was like friends with my teachers in high school. I loved just like building really strong relationships with my instructors in high school and really getting to know my teachers and just I wouldn't necessarily call myself a teacher's pet. Being able to like build connections with my teachers in high school and really feel like I had adults who cared about my education and cared that I was learning, that was really valuable to me. It was pretty jarring coming to college and being in the lecture hall of 300 people because like the professor doesn't know you to a certain degree. I feel like most professors don't really care how you do in their class. Even if you like go to office hours, which I did because I did want to like get to know my professors a little bit more, it's still a very different dynamic from those teachers who just cared so much about you in high school to professors who are doing their job just fine. But I guess freshman year in summary, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. First quarter was really hard, but taught me a lot about myself and what I need to do to protect myself and take care of myself and just give myself space and grace to make mistakes. During winter quarter, I just got to feel a lot more at home at school and really feel like I was getting into the swing of things and making the most of my college experience. And then it got cut short, and spring quarter is going to be here in my room. Most likely I will be attending lectures from this very blob chair, but it's been a year of rolling with the punches and I'm prepared to roll with even more punches coming our way. So yeah, that's my freshman year in reflection. Thank you to everybody who's a part of it. Thank you to UCLA for giving me a very unique freshman year that I will certainly never forget. And until fall.